Ben, why don't you tell me about some of the challenges that sellers might have these days in today's real estate market?
Certainly. Some of the things that we can help sellers to avoid, obviously the first thing is putting the house on the market entirely. Having to list the house or having to put a for sale by owner sign in the house and list in a traditional manner and not knowing when it's going to sell. Another thing is along the same line, struggling with the uncertainty of when it's going to sell. They don't need to rely on an agent to perform or keep their promises and list the house and hopefully find a buyer.
So all of the traditional aspects of selling your house through an agent at this point pretty much eliminated by going to the Sierra Group.
That's correct. Another big reason why people contact us and that we can help them to avoid is doing any fix-up work to their house.
Oh, sure.
A lot of houses aren't in perfect condition, of course, and so when a buyer comes along and wants to buy a house, typically they want things done to that house to make it move-in ready. And so we can help to avoid that as well. We buy houses as is.
So no painting, no touch-ups, no repairing the mechanicals, and no agent at this point. What are some of the other challenges that your company helps these sellers avoid?
A big thing that we can help them to avoid these days is having a buyer obtain financing for their own loan. Since we use private investors for our funding, we do not need to go to a bank to get approval, as most buyers do. And of course, in today's credit market, it's become difficult and a challenge for buyers to get financing and to be approved for financing. And so that is certainly one of the biggest challenges in today's market.
And that also lends itself to a buyer, a potential buyer who would come in and then back out just before the sale of the house, correct?
That's correct. There's certainly circumstances where that happens, where for whatever reason, maybe the buyer gets cold feet. Maybe once everything is done with the loan, they don't get approved at the very last minute, or maybe they can't sell their existing house, and therefore they can't qualify for two loans at one time. And so that is a big challenge in today's market.
Are there other reasons why folks might come to the Sierra Group?
Another reason is that if they want to sell their house and they already have a house to move into or another house to move into, or they have to move out of the area, they don't want a vacant house sitting. And so with us, we can eliminate that instead of having a vacant house sitting on the market.
What about the use of appraisers? Does your company need an appraiser to come in and assess a value to the house?
Our company does not. Whereas again, if a person goes out, if a traditional buyer comes along, they need to go out, get financing. Obviously, the lender sends an appraiser out to appraise the property. And if there are any deficiencies, that's usually a point where the buyer wants the seller to fix those items.
Sure.
We don't need to worry about any of those items.
So no added expense as far as, well, I've got to fix it this way before I can sell the house. That's virtually eliminated.
That's correct. We eliminate all those challenges.